there we go. Like, not familiar with Zoom, things are moving me around. All right. First of all, I want to welcome everybody and just tell everybody a few things about our meetup group. We try to meet at least once a month and sometimes twice a month. During COVID, it's been hit and miss. If anybody wants to give a talk, let me know. There is a, let me go to the Asheville area. Get here. We have a Slack channel. So if you'd like to join and ask questions or post jobs or anything else in there, you're welcome to do that. And it's loading slowly. And to join the Slack group, if you go to the Asheville Area WordPress Meetup group page and under Read More, under the About, there's a link to the Join Our Slack channel. And that can get you in our Slack channel. And feel free to use it. We had a successful WordCamp 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I guess. September 10th, 11th. If you want to see the sessions, recordings of the sessions, we're in the process of getting them on wordcamp.tv. If you go to the schedule, you can click on the events on each event, and most of them have the slide sets for them, and they are getting on wordpress.tv. So if you go to WordPress, let me just show you how I got here. If you go to wordpress.tv, and we're under latest videos, and also, I guess if I gotta go to more, and there was a filter, browse by year, 2020. There aren't that many from 2020, and we're the most recent ones. So you can click here and see them, and we are getting them uploaded, so you'll be able to get to those links from the event, from the descriptions in the schedule. So if there were any events, any sessions that you weren't able to attend because there were 2 that you wanted to attend at the same time, or you couldn't make WordCamp, you can go and look at the recordings. I have PHP Storm gives me a discount, a free discount code for a year of PHP. It's one of many JetBrains products. So you can get a free year if you're doing PHP, SQL, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, any and a bunch more. Writing any code, it's a great tool. I use it. You can do FTP. It's got Git integrations with it, debugging, all kinds of things. I've been using it and very happy with it. But if you'd like to try it for a year free, it's normally $89 for the first year, and then it drops price down to like $59 after that. I think there may be one step in between there for the second year. But this is a $89 value. And I've got the people who registered, who RSVP'd for the meeting. So I don't think you could get in here unless you RSVP'd to get the meeting link. So real quickly, I'm going to scroll through here, and if you don't see your name, let me know.
You can go ahead and remove my name. I have a copy.
All right. Anybody else?
Me too. I have a copy.
Norma?
Thank you, John.
Okay.
I want to give it to somebody beneath it.
Yep. All right. And we got a bunch of people who didn't show up. So if you're here, I'm going to spin the wheel. And if you're here, you get it. If not, we go to the next person. Jim Holloman, he's here. Or he was here earlier. You still here, Jim?
Looks like he's here. I can see him.
All right. Jim, I will send you the code, or are you interested in it? First of all, let me see if I can get the chat. gotta find my, I am not liking this.
He has no mic and no webcam.
Yep. I gotta stop my sharing so I can see the chat. That's weird. I can't share and see the same chat at the same time. Okay. Would you, Jim, are you interested in PHP Storm or any of the JetBrains products? Okay. I will send you, I will get your email, or through Meetup, I will get up with you and send you the discount code. Thank you. Let me write that down, Jim Holloman.
Very cool that you do giveaways. I'm actually inspired to do a giveaway on this Zoom meeting. I think everyone will be pretty happy about this little package I have.
All right. So, we got a few minutes, so do quick introductions. John, I started the group. I work for USDA, small USDA program. I'm the IT coordinator, and I do WordPress coding, plugin theme development stuff, custom themes and development, so plugins. So I'll call on people as from my list, so we go in the, so we don't just have people jumping up. Jim has no microphone, so if you want to throw something in the chat. Asim, welcome. Where are you from? What are you doing with WordPress?
Yeah, basically I've been using WordPress for 2 years now, and I've been working for the clients. I have clients in recruitment domain, in education domain, and in security domain. And I am more and more interested in learning about WordPress. Okay,
great. If you have, if you're looking for work or looking for help, this is a great time to say it. All right, next.
Yeah, so my primary intention is to connect with people and learn more about this industry. Haven't thought about getting the work or something like that as of now, but my current intention is to network.
Okay, well, welcome. Donna.
Well, hi, I'm new to, well, I've been doing this for a couple of years, and I've built a few websites, and I'm just here to learn more. And y'all have been such a welcoming group. I'm glad to be part of it. So, thank you.
All right, Tim.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim O'Haver, and this is my first WordCamp Asheville meetup. So I'm pretty excited to be here. I am a WordCamp speaker, meetup speaker. My hands-on work with WordPress is run through some small agency work as a fixer, but mostly I've got about 20 years of hands-on experience building and managing websites as a volunteer for smaller nonprofits, and kind of fell in with some of these WordCamp Asheville people and ended up on the organizing team this year. It was a great experience, and one of the things I picked up on in hanging out with that group is that you have this really great year-round WordPress community. And so I was looking forward to seeing this, to coming tonight and start to attend some of these and to be a part of what you have going on here. I think it's really good.
Cool. Thank you. We couldn't have done WordCamp Asheville without Tim and Norma. Both of them were instrumental.
Norma was
helping
awesome.
us put it together.
But Norma was awesome.
You were both incredible, and Tim's been helping us get the stuff on WordPress TV. So thank you. All right, Bart Hoffman. Can you unmute your mic and say hey?
Actually, one of my, he's actually my CTO, so we can get into introductions with him. I was actually going to have him speak on a few. But go ahead, Bart, if your mic is on.
Yeah, my mic's on. I'm Bart Hoffman. I'm not a US citizen. I'm a Dutch person. And I've been into cybersecurity my entire life. And John contacted me a few years ago, and we started working together on security problems regarding WordPress, and we've been working together ever since.
Cool.
Created some really incredible applications with Bart. He's a just rock star programmer in every sense of the word.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Brian. Brian, are you there? Unmute. All right, David B.
Hello. Sorry about that. Had to get up, and I was going to get a white screen. I'm in a bad spot for lighting tonight that wasn't planning on. So let's try this. See if this helps a little bit. There we go. Maybe.
That's fine.
All right. A little about me. Whoops. And of course, never mind. Just forget it. A little about me. I've worked with WordPress now for about 10 years. I am the Director of Marketing and Webmaster at Western Piedmont Community College down in Morganton. I live in Spruce Pine, but I work in Morganton, and it is a WordPress site. In fact, I do all of my development work using the Divi environment, but I've got several of those that I do kind of, you know, as a freelancer, and also to keep my skills up for my main job, which is, of course, at WPCC. But I was sharing with John before I come in tonight that I was going to be at the WordCamp, had everything planned. In the morning of WordCamp, I had 2 sites hacked. So I spent my weekend dealing with some issues, and I'm kind of looking forward tonight to hearing what they have to say, because I'm sure there's some things I'm not doing that I do need to be doing. And that's, I'm just really excited we have this community here in the western part of the state. And thanks for everything you've done for us, John.
All right, thank you. Dr. Thompson. Unmute first.
There we go. Well, I'm a WordCamp graduate, and this is my 3rd meetup group with WordCamp or with WordPress, and I wanted to learn more about security for sure. I thought the WordCamp was first rate, and Norma and was it who's the other one?
Tim.
Who?
Tim.
Besides you, there was a 3rd person.
Tim.
Tim. You guys all get gold stars.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Right. Eric.
Hi, Eric. I'm in Mountain View, California. Been working with WordPress for about 4 years, and been working with Divi and now Cadence themes.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And Gary.
Hey, everybody. I'm just outside of Asheville, and I've been working with WordPress. God, I can't remember when I didn't work with WordPress. It's kind of like so long ago. And I've taught classes on it, and in the last decade, and I have a lot of sites that are just there's the wonderful thing with WordPress is that you can end up with so many sites that are so different from each other, according to what package is on them, what theme is on them. So I have a lot of different sites, and I have about close to 100 sites that I manage. I don't touch them all the time, but they're in my portfolio to kind of go to. And every time I go there, I'm like, oh, this is a completely different site than the last one I was at. Like, so if I use Divi on one site and then another theme on another site, yeah, so that's my way of working. But it's good to see everybody. This is a great group, and I'm looking forward to hearing about some security stuff, because it seems that our community has been kind of getting a lot of hacking right now. So any security advice we can get is super cool. So thank you for putting this together tonight.
Okay. Kara.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kara Brown. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, so I'm very close, and I've had my own graphic design business, I think, for about 13 years now. My training is in illustration and painting, but I started graphic design because I love it. It's a better way to make money sometimes. But I'm more visually oriented, so people hire me for my eye and communication and help develop systems. Ideally, I like to work with people who are more code oriented. It's when I get stuck or I need something specialized, I'm always looking for people to work with. And of course, security is important. Usually people hire me and then they keep me on to upkeep sites throughout the longevity of their sites. So I go through maybe once every 2 weeks and make sure everything's going as it should and that nothing weird's happening, or I educate other people of how to maintain their sites. So as we all know, it's a bummer when things don't go as planned, so the more you can know to prevent those things, the better. So looking forward to hearing what everyone has to share.
All right. Thank you. Kathleen?
Read the chat.
Oh, okay. I'm not seeing it in the chat. Oh, there it is. Now I see it. Okay. Kathleen's got her intro in the chat. Thank you. Mark.
Yes, good evening. My name is Mark Zarnecki. I'm zooming in from Asheville, North Carolina, and I have a couple clients I work with the WordPress environment. Very proud that I was able to support the WordPress WordCamp event. Was very impressed on the logistics, how smoothly everything went. And here in our neighborhood, we have the Carolina Cybersecurity College with Montreat College, and I know they have a cybersecurity perspective from their side. I also represent Western North Carolina Broadband Project with UNCA and the NEMAC team, and very happy to gain some insights, especially for the 50+ community. I'm very active with various groups there, so thank you for having me.
All right, Norma?
Hi, I'm Norma Bumgarner, and I'm with this group because they're so kind. I love this group. I live in Cary, so I'm going to be sad when things go back to normal, but I'll come to any online events. My specialty actually is just fixing stuff. So I don't know that much about WordPress. I've been doing WordPress for maybe 2 years, and right now I'm aspiring to work on WordPress core development. So I started hanging out there and seeing what I can do. But I'm really good. I seem to be very good at just fixing something that I know nothing about. I'm glad I'm here. Thanks.
Thank you. Steve and Judith.
Hey, I'm Steve, and I administer a couple of small WordPress sites, and I've got a couple more that I'm planning on putting up, and I need to know a lot more about security because it's not safe these days in more ways than one. So I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you.
All right. Sunil?
He was getting some feedback, so I just muted him.
Okay.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, this is Sunil here. So yeah, I've been using WordPress since 11 years for personal use and now for the professional purpose. And actually, I'm here because one of our client faced the attacks on the WordPress site, Ddos attack and the brute force attack. So I'd like to learn more about those things. That's why I'm here.
Where are you from?
I'm from India.
Oh, welcome. We are going global.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Definitely make sure you shoot me a message at the end of the meeting. I'll share my email address. I would love to network with you and help expand.
Great.
Okay.
All right. Wendy? Wendy, are you there? All right. Is there anybody I missed? All right. I think the networking and getting to know each other, everybody is important. So it's harder to do when we're not face to face. So trying to enable those connections. With that, I'd like to turn it over to John and let you introduce yourself and tell us about security. Make our sites a little more secure.
Yep. So I have basically a presentation prepared, but as I get to know more about you and who the audience is, I think we're going to divert a little bit and do a little bit of freestyle as well. So it's most aligned with what you guys and ladies are all looking for, which appears that you're very well versed with WordPress. Sorry, I just had a CBD marketing campaign pop up. So we're looking for, to educate people who have a good understanding of WordPress already. So it's exciting that I'm in front of the right audience. I find a lot of the times I spend a lot of time educating people on what WordPress is and what its strengths are, what its weaknesses are. So it's great we have kind of a baseline understanding here, so you'll all be able to keep up fairly well. So that being said, I'll introduce myself, a little bit about me, why you should listen to me, but I speak really fast. So, and I also don't have any links throughout the presentation. So if you have a notebook by you, or you can open up a notepad on a computer or a phone and just jot down maybe a couple things, because at the end of the presentation, I'm gonna give you guys my email address. And I have a bunch of free stuff for you. And I also want to make myself available to you for any and all questions that might pop up after the meeting. So I want to make sure that there's that line of communication. A little bit about myself real quick. I just moved back to Asheville from South Beach, Florida, about a week ago, about 6 days ago. But I've been living in Asheville for the last 4 years. I moved here after visiting and falling in love with the city. Just the culture, and just totally blew me away. Growing up in Pittsburgh half the year and South Florida the other half the year was kind of the best of both worlds. And that's why I've loved living here. So when I was 9 years old, I started programming in Python. My uncle works for the Department of Defense, and he installed Slackware Linux on my laptop and gave me a Python book and started learning how to write little scripts. Age 13, I started doing PHP MySQL and basically creating little landing pages and editing scripts and installing scripts for people on freelancer.com, and made my first $1,000. When I turned 16, my grandfather helped incorporate my first LLC, Red Level LLC, which specialized in WordPress security. And since 2007, let me switch over here to my presentation. Let me share my screen first. So can everybody see my presentation?
Yep.
All right. So since 2017, I've been, or actually 2007, I'm sorry, I've been publishing security vulnerabilities, mostly around WordPress. So one of my first vulnerabilities I published was actually for WordPress. In 2015, I identified a WordPress 4.4 vulnerability for user enumeration. What that means is it identifies what user accounts are activated and able to log in, which gives an attacker an idea of which accounts they can try to brute force. And that's basically going into information gathering, which is the first step in a cyber attack. I also identified a denial of service vulnerability in version 4 when it came out in 2014, which would allow you to literally shut down any WordPress website for as long as you kept the script running. And this is not a traditional denial of service attack where you need a bunch of computers or it's just flooding the system. It's actually a vulnerability in the code that forced the database into a continuous loop, disabling access to the site. So I've worked with WordPress's security team and their development team to help resolve these issues from their end. And I've also worked with other CMSs like .cms, October CMS, but most recently, my real specialty has been in hacked website repair. Since 2013, I've been specializing in WordPress hacked website repair and website malware removal. My main competitors, I just blow them out of the water because of our team being US based, the fact that we're 24/7 available on the phone. But I actually sold this business last month to create ISRD.com. And ISRD is basically a training and certification company that teaches people interested in cybersecurity how to make money by doing consulting for cybersecurity for their local area. So essentially, I'm creating ISRD certified partners who basically become local cybersecurity analysts to help secure their local community from cyber attacks. So that's kind of what I've been doing recently. So you understand, I know what I'm talking about from a technical perspective. And the other half of our business is marketing, which is optimizing your website to ensure that the maximum percentage of visitors turn into customers. So we do a lot of sales funnel work, a lot of split testing and conversion optimization. So I'll show you why you should listen to me about that. If you're familiar with Russell Brunson or Tony Robbins, this is, let me know if you can hear the audio.
I spent some time with a really special young man who has been extraordinarily successful at helping people to figure out new ways in this new economy to really do well. I mean, most people right now are scared, they're concerned, they're frustrated with what's happened to their economic well-being. They're looking for opportunities, and a lot of businesses are out there saying the old tools really aren't working. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to be able to bring somebody that makes it so darn simple that you know there's no hype in it, you know it's real. And the man I'm about to introduce you to, you know, there's so many people in internet marketing and there's so much hype and so much BS. It was just, he was a breath of fresh air for me. You know, I just saw him online. I heard about him from a couple of my friends, and I went to go kind of look at his products and services, and I just felt like it's so rare to find somebody that's truly authentic, that isn't playing genuine, but is genuine. And Russell Brunson is that man. And please stand up and give a big hand to Russell Brunson, ladies and gentlemen. I don't do that many talks anymore, private talks. I pick the ones that I want to do, and there's very few. But I'm here because of Russell. He is truly, yes, give a hand for him.
Hey everybody, my name is Russell Brunson, and about a year ago I had a chance to meet John Martinelli. So we flew out here. He spent a month here in our company, in our offices, and you know, John was a great person to work with, but also even kind of the next step up, he was a brilliant marketer. He helped us bring a lot of really cool processes and really cool techniques and stuff to our affiliates to help automate their affiliate promotions. He helped us program some different things. Who's got a great marketing brain on his head. I can't really put the dollar amount of how much money he helped bring extra to our company, but definitely had a huge impact on our company. You're a great marketer, and someone who's going far in life.
So the reason I shared that is because in 2009, I created a marketing automation piece of software that allowed you to turn a normal opt-in page where you would ask for an email address in exchange for some information. And instead you like the page on Facebook with an embedded widget. And this allowed us to create a social list, and then we added a viral element to it, where not only do you receive that content for liking the Facebook page, you get a chance to win a grand prize. And then for every person you share it with on Facebook, you increase your chances of winning by an additional point. And for every friend that actually signs up and enters this, you know, participates, you get an extra 10 points to win this grand prize. So it was this way of virally building a list on Facebook that was extremely successful for small businesses. So let's get back to the security side. Specializing in hacked website repair and WordPress security over the years, I've identified that it literally comes down right now in the age that we are right now, 2020, October 1st. There's really only 3 things that you need, and they're all people that you work with. So there's no magic, you know, system that I'm going to give you, although we're going to get into some really hardcore details pretty shortly here. But there's really only 3 things that you need to keep your online presence secure. The first one is a good CDN. So a CDN, like Cloudflare.com, what it does is it acts as a proxy to all of the traffic that comes into your digital asset, your website. This protects you from different types of cyber attacks like SQL injection that actually actively try to break into your site, but also denial of service attacks. So things that brought down Sony years ago, where there's a bunch of servers just slamming your website with data. So that's called a distributed denial of service attack. But from a business perspective, this is a huge benefit because it reduces your page load time immensely. As you can see, I guess AO.com or whoever that is, they saw a decrease in their page load time. This is a huge benefit for your website in terms of Google search engine rankings and search engine rankings in general, because Google really, really benefits you. They really help you when you have a better user experience for your website visitors. And having a fast, snappy website is a huge, huge way to immediately increase your website's ranking, and also just to improve the usability of your site from just a customer experience. So you've got the security benefits, and you've also got the business benefits by using Cloudflare to filter and also to increase the speed. And to get behind the details a little bit, the way it works is you essentially have these proxies that are servers all over the planet. And whatever server is closest to that website visitor physically, it connects to that proxy. So it essentially reduces the physical space between your connections, thus dropping the amount of time it takes to connect. And it also does what's called caching, where it saves basically a copy of your website to feed to visitors. And it essentially makes, it feeds basically a flat, non-dynamic version of your site in layman's terms, kind of semi-accurate. It's more of a, yeah, it basically just shows them the most recent version of your site, and it updates itself every time it detects a change, rather than your server having to respond and be able to process web requests. This just basically shows the visitor a version of that most recently for your homepage, and other pages as well, but it's a very intelligent engine. So what I do is I always stand this up in front of every site. There's a $0 a month option. And then there are other tiers up to $100 a month, and then there's enterprise level. But I have all of my websites on Cloudflare for those two reasons, but also it's an excellent DNS manager. So any type of CNAMEs you need to add, MX records, everything is handled here. And they also provide a great VPN service called 1.1.1.1 if you visit that site. And what I do is I always, before we can even install a website, we want to have the best environment possible for it, right? We want to make sure that we're putting our code and our database in a secure environment. So with shared hosting, you have a bunch of different websites that are on the same server, which brings a whole slew of issues with it. And if one website gets hacked and that machine's compromised because of them and it wasn't your fault, you're still impacted. If a website is targeted for distributed denial of service, you're affected as well. So you want to be in your own environment that's isolated from anyone else. And you also want to make sure that that environment is very secure and monitored and safe. So my company actually owns a private cloud through WP Engine. So WP Engine is an incredible, I'm just making sure you can see the right screen here. So we're looking at WP Engine, and essentially we own this private cloud through them, but you can sign up for $35 a month, which sounds like a lot of money, but it does pretty much everything you need. There are some upgrades that are like 35 bucks a month, 40 bucks a month that become increasingly more expensive, such as smart plugin management, where all of your WordPress updates are done for you on the plugin side. But by default, they handle all of your core plugin updates. But what's beautiful is they also have a web application firewall tied in. So even if you don't do your updates, you're still secured from that traffic, which leads me to the third piece of the puzzle, which is WordFence. If you haven't heard of WordFence, you need to go install the free version on every single one of your WordPress assets immediately. So this offers dozens and dozens of different benefits, and it pretty much by itself, if you just use WordFence, it'll cover the 10 or 15 things that we're about to talk about. But between using Cloudflare, WP Engine, and WordFence, we have not had a single client get hacked since 2013. And because of that, we've been able to use that information to train and certify people into local cybersecurity enthusiasts. And I kind of brushed on that earlier, but I know Bart had some stuff that he wanted to say. So like, Bart, what was the most like surprising thing about like working on the, you know, ISRD and securely for hacked website repair and training people on, you know, how to do this themselves in a consultant basis?
Well, first off, I was amazed at how many of these local small businesses are hackable, and how many small, easy to catch mistakes a lot of these businesses make. And at the same time, I'm amazed at how many people, I mean, look at this community, are willing to provide this help and protection for services all over the world, especially since we also have people from India. So what I like doing is being able to create the opportunity for cybersecurity enthusiasts like yourselves to protect their local areas and their businesses, and to help create something amazing to do this. So as John said, and as a lot of you have noticed, WordPress sites are very vulnerable to attacks due to the framework and how they are built. And it's a known fact that we can step into the actual shoes of the hackers and find the vulnerabilities that they exploit, and then be one step ahead of them and fix them before they can be exploited. Most of these hacks are preventable by running services like WordFence, using Cloudflare, and even simply keeping your system up to date. And that last bit, the monitoring system, is really important. And so the goal of this company that John started will be to supply end-to-end comprehensive security solutions for not only individuals, but also small and medium-sized businesses, as well as he explained, certification for cybersecurity and the training that comes with this certification.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things you touched upon in terms of the monitoring is with WP Engine, you have daily backups. So if something goes wrong, which it will, eventually every single one of you here, if you haven't been hacked, you will be hacked. There's a one-click restore. So as soon as you notice something's wrong, or if you end up working with us, or in our system identifies an anomaly, it reverts back to that backup and freezes your site. So continued attempts to break back into the site fail. And that's really the differentiating factor with WP Engine versus other hosts. Their customer support's just absolutely the best. So let's, you know, one of the big things here I have in my presentation, and thank you, Bart, for sharing that. I appreciate that. First thing that you need to do is make sure that you're working with a good host, which seems obvious, but a lot of people are fine. A lot of people are fine with something like shared hosting with HostGator because it only costs, you know, $5 a month, but you get what you pay for. And really the most important part is the foundation, which is your web host. So we always suggest with every single client that after we repair their website is we actually migrate them to our private cloud, and we give them a free 30-day trial of our hosting. And everyone gets improved page load speed, increased Google rankings, decreased page load time, all kinds of free SSL, all kinds of benefits. So that's why we work with WP Engine and why we pay them a very good amount of money for a private cloud. So the first thing that I do when I have a new WordPress site is I disallow file editing. So any user that's an admin in your WordPress area, as you've probably seen, can go to themes and then editor, and that allows you to edit your plugins and themes and be able to actually enter in your own PHP code. So a lot of attacks we found recently through our web application firewalls is someone being able to exploit and gain temporary access and then be able to establish persistence onto that machine and that website through custom PHP code that they edit inside of the themes editor. So the WP config file is by far the most important part of your WordPress security in terms of your access credentials and being able to pivot attacks. Now, if somebody just has your WP config file information, there's not a whole lot they can do unless your WordPress database is not firewalled off. So one thing you need to do is make sure your database that you're using with WordPress is firewalled off, so only your WordPress instance can access it. File permissions. Sometimes people just upload their WordPress install via FTP and set everything to default whatever it is. But you want to ensure that you're either at 755 or 644. And that is just to ensure that everything is properly secured through your operating system level. So DDoS attacks are a huge issue, especially recently as it's become so much easier to do. And we find this especially happening with Google AdWords customers or Google Ads customers, that competitors will shut down their domain name for a few days to a week just to be able to capture additional advertising data. That's a new trend that has occurred and why Cloudflare is so important. And by the way, before you sign up for all this stuff, I have I've got like coupon codes for everything. So, and also I've got like bonuses where if you sign up, even with the free plan, you get extra cool stuff. So we'll talk about that later. We want to disable directory listings. If you have a good host, they'll do this automatically with their default configuration. But it would be a matter of editing your web.config file if you're on a Microsoft Windows server, which if you are, I will, it makes me cry a little bit to know that people are running WordPress on Windows. Otherwise, in your htaccess file, you can disable directory listings. Another important part is just basically security through obscurity, and that is knowing that your WordPress login page is the same URL for every WordPress site. The way that I check if a site's running WordPress, I either click view source and look at the top for like WP-content links, or I just type in /WP-admin. And by keeping it default, you're allowing robots and automated cyber attacks, which account for 99.999% of attacks that we see. It's all automated scripts. If your website and your company is being targeted by an attacker, that's a whole different ballgame. But just by adding wplogin.php and wp-admin, and moving that or renaming them is really the way to go. And WordFence does do that. Another major thing is using two-factor authentication. I use Google Authenticator, and this allows me to not only need my username and password, but also a constantly changing PIN that it pops up on my phone. This way, even somebody with compromised credentials, like let's say one of your employees who has WordPress access gets their password compromised and they are reusing their same passwords, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. This two-factor authentication requirement eliminates and mitigates that vulnerability. So like we talked about earlier, we wanted to rename that login URL. So we also want to start using password managers. I know it sounds like a pain, but even if you're using the same password and then adding like an exclamation point or an @ sign to the end of it, all that does is it takes a password cracker to supply the original password that an attacker found from one of your accounts, and then it tries to crack the end of it. So that's the new trend that we found for sites getting compromised, for people that are just adding extra stuff to the end of their passwords, like an extra exclamation point or an extra number one. A password manager like KeePassX, that's KeePassX, KeePassX, allows you to create a local encrypted file that basically has a master password that you use, and then it allows you to easily populate password fields with the manager. Another important thing is idle users. So if somebody is like at a cafe or somebody leaves their workstation unattended and they're logged in as WP-admin, this is more of a physical security issue, but we always try to ensure that any type of idleness, whether it's a checkout or it's a WordPress admin instance, whatever it is, we want to make sure that there's an active user, and if there's not an active user, to secure that environment by kicking them out. Another super important part is SSL. So WP Engine does free SSL. If you don't want to use WP Engine for some reason, you go to let'sencrypt.com. So let'sencrypt.com. That's
I
interesting.
think most hosts now provide SSL for free. If not, find a different host.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, Flywheel also offers it. Or let'sencrypt.org is it? Yeah. If your host is even trying to charge you for SSL, you're not working with the right people. And another important thing is change your admin username. Using admin as the username is never a good idea because it gives an attacker a place to start with a brute force attempt. And you may be thinking, oh, you know, I've got this this plugin set up so it kicks people out after you know 5 attempts. Well, that is the case with the front end, but something that is enabled by default, which nobody really knows about it, or it's not really on anyone's radar, is the XML RPC endpoint. And what this is in WordPress, it's something that you cannot disable with actually making a code change or removing the file. And what it does is it essentially is an API endpoint. So it's a way to automatically send requests to a WordPress website. And it stands for XML RPC as in extensible markup language, just like HTML, and remote procedure call. So it allows me to send something to your WordPress site and get a response back. And part of that is actually being able to try to authenticate. So the XML RPC can be used to edit a post, for example. So we found that a lot of plugins that try to lock down the WP admin page only focus on the front end and don't disable XML RPC, which is the most important thing to do right now because there's no easy way to do it or disable it through WordPress itself. Now, another thing that's also very important to lock down is the JSON API for WordPress. This is something that also is very difficult to just disable. There's no real way to just click a button. But the JSON API allows me to do the same thing as XML RPC, except there's actually a little bit of additional functionality. So some plugins require the JSON API, and if that's the case, you can allow it access through htaccess just from localhost. So if the request originates from that website itself. So that's the way to lock that down. So yeah, XML RPC and the JSON API are the two biggest culprits. So I'd like to actually show you on one other interesting thing is the WordPress Cron. So WordPress Cron is a file that can be accessed externally that kicks off all of the cron jobs on your WordPress site. A cron job is something that can be as simple as freshening up the WordPress database, because there are built-in WordPress cron jobs, all the way to if you have a custom developed code, a custom developed site to kick off different pieces of functionality, like pulling down new news posts from an external source. So there's a lot of these additional cron jobs that you're probably not aware of without using the WP Cron WordPress plugin to see all of your cron jobs. So I was actually involved with the WordPress team here. You'll see securely, this is me. And just so you also know, one of my gigs is with Mission Hospital. I'm the only cybersecurity analyst for Mission Hospital in the North Carolina division for HCA. And this was in reference. We found that we had WP cron jobs that were kicking off really CPU and RAM intensive operations. And if somebody was going to hit our WP cron over and over and over again, it would actually cripple the website and drop it. And so we had to resolve that by firewalling off access to WP cron. Let's jump back over to the presentation. I think we're getting close to the end. Now, this is a very, very extreme one. But if you do this, in addition to all of the other things, you will not get hacked by a robot. It just won't happen. Somebody will have to actually target you or your company to break into your website. And at that point, you're kind of screwed because a targeted attacker is going to be able to get into a WordPress website, whether they end up trying to phish you or your employees, or they do a long-term brute force attack. And we want to prepare for that by doing daily backups and one-click restore when the day comes. So one thing is that WordPress creates tables inside the MySQL database that are prefixed by WP-. This can be modified when you first install WordPress. And also there's some plugins that allow you to adjust it afterwards. But essentially by changing the prefix for the WordPress database table, it will cause a lot of automated hack attacks to fail because they're hard-coded to do SQL injection on that WP- prefix. So that's a really cool trick that will mitigate even the most advanced attacks that I'm aware of. So we talked about backups, and we want to set strong passwords for the database. I see a lot of people installing WordPress with just a database password of like user and then password because they think it can only be accessed from the local machine, which generally is the case. But let's say I get just very basic access to the server, just a standard user on a Linux server. I can make a local call to the database and wreak havoc on your website. You always want to be making sure that you're doing updates to your plugins, your themes, and your core version. Also, a good way to eliminate being targeted by automated scanners is removing the WordPress version from your site. And this is one way to do it, but WordFence offers a better solution. This is essentially where you just kind of paste in some code. So that is the end of my presentation. I wanted to open it up for questions. Here is my email. I would like everyone to shoot me a message because for everybody on this call, I want to provide a free website security assessment for all of your WordPress and non-WordPress websites. So I want to do a non-intrusive fingerprint of your website's environment, the WordPress site itself, and everything kind of in between to identify how I can hack into your website and how to protect it. Because I guarantee you 99% of the websites that you send me, I could break into using some very basic techniques. And with this group of about 20 people, I guarantee if everybody just had one website, I would say I could break into about 15 or 16 of them. So definitely suggest submitting your website URLs to me. This is normally a service. We charge $100 to just do a basic fingerprint, but I'd like to do that for free. And I'd also like to have John spin the wheel because I want to give somebody a free 30-day trial of WP Engine just to be able to demo it because I'm so adamant about it. So I'll go ahead and create a new user for them and basically give them what WordPress would normally charge. Like you can see some of the stuff in my WP Engine. I'm going to give somebody a 30-day trial of what WP Engine normally charges about $75 for, or $86 for. And it also has, the plugin manager, so everything's taken care of for you. So John, I'll pass it back to you.
I'm sorry, we got Gary Croce. Gary, are you still here? Let's see. Let me get participants.
Let me see if I can get
Nope,
back.
Gary's gone. All right, we'll spin again.
Okay.
Kate, are you here? Again? Dr. Thompson. Yeah, he's here.
Dr. Thompson. And let me just do one quick screen share of WP Engine. and what the backend interface is, what it looks like compared to something like cPanel. It's a very straightforward. You have your domains, your CDN, redirect rules, backup points. You have that, that one-click restore. Just takes a couple seconds. You have your access logs, your error logs, SFTP users. It's integratable with Git. I've got SSL, a couple different utilities. What's also very important is that you have a staging and development environment. So this allows you to make code changes and be able to actually make changes to your site without it being on the production side, which I always suggest having at least a development or staging environment. But before you go and sign up for WP Engine, shoot me an email and I will connect you with their team, my contact there directly, and they'll be able to hook you up with the best pricing.
Anybody have questions? Thank you, John.
Of course.
Yes, John, a quick question around using VPN.
Yep.
I'm kind of surprised. I'm a member of Meet the Geeks, and I found the use and knowledge of VPN was surprisingly light. What suggestions do you have in using, not using a VPN tool?
Sure. So VPNs vary in quality. You have some free shared VPNs, which I would always avoid. Something is always the product, as they say. In Facebook, you are the product. In Google, you are the product, because they're paying for ads based on your interaction. A free VPN just comes up with all types of issues. You can buy a VPN connection or a VPN account from somebody on their server, but it's kind of like shared hosting, where yes, you have a good VPN, but other people are also connecting to that server. I always suggest setting up your own VPN server using something like DigitalOcean.com, Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, or Microsoft Azure, if for some reason you want to use Microsoft. I always suggest using a VPN anytime you're not on your home network. And the reason I suggest not using it on your home network is because it's just going to slow you down when you should already be in a trusted environment. But anytime you're out and about connected to anything else, I would always suggest using a VPN for personal use.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this or not, because I don't have a lot of the information, but are you familiar with Bluehost? I have my sites. Do you know if they automatically, like, I guess I have probably their cheapest. It's not free, but do they have that? What you're talking about?
What exactly? About 50%, maybe 60% of my customers come from Bluehost because they found that after they were compromised, they weren't able to restore their website from a clean backup. So we actually ended up having to rebuild a lot of those customers' websites, which is a lot more expensive for the customer than if their environment was properly configured in the first place, with daily backups, with a web application firewall, with management of their WordPress instances to ensure everything's always up to date. So it really depends. Like if you're using something like Bluehost, it's all about you taking all of these steps to ensure your environment is secure, compared to going with a company like ours, where we handle everything end to end. But Bluehost, it's just like every other shared host. They have different advantages and disadvantages. As long as you are doing the proper WordPress updates, you should be okay. But I always suggest enabling daily backups. I believe that they do offer it, but it's an added service that you have to pay for.
Added service, right? I think so. So if I compare your price, you have that like on a cheaper, 35 is your cheapest?
So I don't own WP Engine. What I do is I partner with WP Engine, and I have we have a private cloud with them. And we provide basically a package where it's completely custom tailored to what your needs are. So whether you just have one website that's a cooking vlog or a cooking blog, or if it's an e-commerce site that has payments online, and then you have a back-end product, an information product where you need to protect some movie files. It depends entirely on what your environment is, because what we do is we'll take your website and ensure that all of the assets are protected in the right way based on your business requirements. So we kind of translate the business goals into the technical requirements for security. So there's not a fixed dollar amount. Generally we start at about $100 a month per website, but it depends entirely on your specific situation.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
John, this is Norma. I wanted your thoughts on. I completely agree with you with Bluehost. I have Bluehost, 2 sites on Bluehost, and people think that they have a backup solution, and they don't.
Yeah.
They really don't. Also, and I'm not bashing Bluehost. I'm just pointing that out because it's so key. Yeah. But I wanted to ask. I volunteer with these nonprofits, so I don't generally purchase anything for them specifically. But what do you think about like just using a plugin for backups? That's what I recommend for them, because, and I ensure that I can do a backup from the restore. Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So that's not the best solution. And the reason is it's sort of like you've got your server, then you've got your WordPress on top of it, and then you have your backup plugin. So if your WordPress site is compromised, you can't trust your backup's integrity, and you can't even trust if that backup will be available, because somebody that breaks into the WordPress site can possibly encrypt your website like with ransomware. Whereas if you back everything up from the server level, you're capturing all of WordPress and all of the plugins and backing it up in its entirety in an offsite location. So it's better than nothing, but it is not the actual best way to do it.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Thank you.
Of course.
John, what are your thoughts on Sukuri plugin?
I'm sorry? Sukuri?
What are your thoughts on Sukuri plugin?
Sukuri?
Sukuri.
Yeah, so that's actually our #1 competitor since 2013. And a lot of people actually come to us from Sukuri because they take a few days to respond sometimes to customer service requests. They also really don't do a fully comprehensive job. Like everyone I work with, I treat everyone like family, whereas Sukuri has kind of grown so big that it's really, you're just another ticket in the queue to them. The plugin itself is not as good as WordFence. It's just not as comprehensive. It doesn't offer all of the bells and whistles. It doesn't do a full malware scan. It doesn't do automatic remediation. It's a good plugin. It's better than nothing, but just like having a backup plugin, it's not as good as having WP Engine set up with Cloudflare, with WordFence, just because WordFence is the best security plugin out there. And we have.
No, I was talking about the paid version where actually the website shifts to their website is accessed from their servers and not from our servers, where it acts as a CDN as well.
Oh, you're talking about Security as a web host?
No.
As
when we take the paid version of the
web app firewall, so basically their cloud.
Right.
Yeah, so their cloud service is very similar to using Cloudflare and WP Engine. You have the filtering from the CDN and that gateway and that security, and then you're hitting a secure environment that's being updated and secured, which is WP Engine. So I'm not sure what the pricing is on Security, but I can tell you their actual hacked website repair service is hit or miss. And I have a lot of clients, probably about 20% of clients that come from Security because they got compromised after the fact and they had some sort of issue with either restoring a backup or having it repaired in a timely fashion. Like I said, they've got hundreds of thousands of customers. So they don't really, like, you don't have a dedicated account manager like my company offers, where somebody's intimately familiar with your website and your business. So it's really kind of apples to oranges. But yeah, Cloudflare, WP Engine, and WordFence are all you're going to need. I wouldn't deal with security.
John, this is Sunil. I have used a WordPress free version for one of my personal site, and actually I faced issue there that all of a sudden it started indexing the temporary URLs like WordPress_LH HID, and it was coming up on top of the actual pages, and it brought down the whole SEO, organic SEO down for me. So what it was one of the incidents, or is there any issue with that URL thing?
So could you repeat the question? You had a it seems like you had a staging environment or a separate environment.
Yeah, it was a live website production environment.
Was it what website?
Sorry?
What kind of website was it?
It is a media website where lots of post images were there.
Okay.
And most of the traffic was from the organic SEO, and suddenly it started indexing the temporary URL of that same post or page on top of the actual page, and then the
Seems like a permalink issue. Then the actual structure of the website, like /2020/09.
it was added parameter like WordPress_LH and something to that parameter.
Okay. Well, what I would do is I would have an area where you can request certain pages in the index. You can explain that was a where permanent.
John, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I thought I was the only one.
It was good, and then it went down.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit, but not like before.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, still not.
How about now? Can you hear me better now?
Keep talking.
Yeah, okay.
Can you hear me better now?
Not much. You were great. Well, for the presentation, then it just went down.
Yeah.
Testing.
Now you're awesome.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry about that. I think it's because there was so much feedback from your mic that it automatically lowered my my microphone volume. So you can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So like I was saying, I would submit to Google their SEO. They have a little inquiry page for removing links from their search engine results. So it seems like you have some content that was indexed that you don't want indexed because it's pushing your legitimate production data down. So I would submit those URLs on that form. If you need a link to it, I can find it for you.
Yeah, I'm aware of that link removal. But here issue was the WordPress was attaching URL parameter at end of every URL.
Sorry?
And that was getting indexed.
I think it's the last one.
Okay, same again with the voice. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So the issue was with the added parameter to the genuine URL that was getting indexed, and it was the added parameter was like WordPress_LH, and if that is getting indexed, it was pushing down the legitimate page.
Right. So what I would do is I would add something to your htaccess file to disable the indexing of any question mark at the end, if that's for that parameter. You said a question mark something.
Yeah, I eventually did that. The URL exclusion, parameter exclusions.
Okay, yeah, I would.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions that I can assist anyone with?
All right.
John, I've got one quick question. My question is, I've been having a couple of issues with sites basically exceeding their resource limits, and they've been, you know, I don't know if it was cron jobs or some sort of something was running on the server, causing problems. I can't figure out what's causing that. Do you have a recommendation on how to do that?
What you'll want to do is you'll want to log into your server via SSH and run the top command, TOP, and that'll show you all of your running processes in order of percentage of consumption of resources.
Okay. Okay.
John, I have one more question. Is it okay?
Sure.
Yeah, so one of our clients said that, I mean, WordPress is using its own version of JavaScript, right? And by
using a version of JavaScript that is from an external resource or its own resource if it's installed locally.
Okay.
I think what Sunil wants to say is that it's using its own version of jQuery.
Okay.
Yeah. So by not upgrading it up to the, I mean, I'm not that technical from that point of view. This is just a question from my client. So by not upgrading, keeping up to date, does it opens any gate for hackers?
Yeah, jQuery is trends on cyber attacks right now, and I'll actually show you Retire.js. If you'll see on my screen, Retire.js is something that finds JavaScript that is outdated, any different libraries like Dojo, Retire Example, jQuery. So you'll see here, it says jQuery 1.8.1 has known vulnerabilities. So we can go to, I think it's snake.io. So snake.io, jQuery, snake, jQuery. So this page, it'll show you all of the different vulnerabilities that affect 3.4.1, or if we want to do 3.3 or 3.2. Let's do this. So this has these two versions, 3.4.2, we've got a cross-site scripting vulnerability, which can be used to steal cookies. It can be used to essentially execute JavaScript on the client's browser without their permission. So it's very important to keep your jQuery and all JavaScript libraries up to date, all of those packages. It's just
yeah, so if we upgrade the jQuery JavaScript, so whether WordPress, the core will be affected by this? Will be there any compatibility issue with WordPress?
Always be a compatibility issue, and that's why you always want to back everything up before you try to make any changes, and also why I suggest making these changes in a development or staging environment before trying them. Right.
Okay, yeah, thanks, John.
Something somebody asked was trying to identify where the issue is. Have you used New Relic before?
New Relic is an amazing application performance manager, and we use it at the hospital to identify different areas and different functions of PHP that can be consuming resources it doesn't have to. So it'll allow you to look at an application and say, okay, this one function is being ran 1,000 times and it takes a second to load. So because of that, it's taking 1,000 seconds of resources every time this cron job is run. So then you can focus on that function and optimize it. So, and usually it's only a couple things. If you start to notice an application slow down as you're developing it, I strongly suggest using New Relic to be able to identify those specific issues.
I put a link to it in the chat, and the free version gives you a ton of stuff.
Yeah, they just came out with way more functionality in the free version before.
Yeah, it's incredible. One of the cool things is you can look at the WordPress plugins and themes and see which plugins and which themes are taking the time on load.
Yeah, and
it's really hurting you.
If you're in an environment like in Azure App Services where you don't actually have access to the server, we ran into this issue where we didn't have access to the operating system itself. There are some WordPress plugins that allow you to actually do something similar to identify what is causing resource consumption on your WordPress installation.
All right. Any other questions?
I think I'm ready for dinner.
Thank you very much. Hope you feel better soon.
Thank you very much.
Great job. Appreciate it.
My fever. So it's a great opportunity speaking with all of you. I'd be happy to answer all questions. Just send me an email at john@isrd.com. I'm gonna drop it in the chat right here. So go ahead and email me a link to your website and your client's websites. I won't email them. I'll only show you. I'll do a free security assessment on all of your clients' sites. And I will also do a marketing review. So I'll take a look at your site and see, okay, this element isn't doing very good from a conversion perspective to turn visitors into leads. Well, this one is, and I'll give you some advice from not only a security perspective, but from a marketing, sales, and business perspective as well. Because moving forward with the work I'm doing with small businesses is actually generating sales funnels and lead acquisition funnels so we can use marketing automation to feed the pipeline of business using their website as a tool. Because a lot of times you'll go to a WordPress website or a website and it's like a catalog. It's like somebody handing you a catalog of all the products and services that they offer and just hoping that you'll call up their phone number and place an order. Whereas I specialize in kind of creating these funnels where I hold that person by the hand through what they need. So for example, if it's a chiropractor, say, okay, schedule a free first exam by entering in your name and email address, and we'll have like a video on the site and all the benefits, and we lead them through this process to actually schedule an appointment rather than just sending them to this website that has all the information about the practice.
You want anything specific in like the subject line or some way to let you know it's coming from here?
Yeah, just in the subject, put in Meetup. That'll be perfect.
All right. Y'all have a great day. Thank you very much.
Or take care, everyone, and reach out. Take care.
Thank you.